But right now, let's spend some time with Tom Cross. He's running for treasurer, and he's on the line right now. Tom, good morning.
Good morning.
How goes the campaign?
You know what? It's going very well. People like our message. I think they're very tired of the financial condition we're in. They're worried about the Democrats wanting to pass tax increases after the election, and I think I'm cautiously optimistic about where we are.
Tom, the latest poll that I saw was from the Tribune over the weekend, and of all the numbers in there, I was struck by the number that they say are undecided still in this race, higher than almost all the other races, statewide races. I don't know how much stock you put in that poll, what perhaps your internal polls say. The Tribune said about 20% of people are still undecided about a week out from Election Day. Is that number a concern to you? Are you still trying to get people interested in finding out who you are in this race?
Yeah, look, I think it's a combination of just so much attention on the governor's race and these congressional races, people not knowing who we are, but the independents generally are breaking Republicans' way. So we just need to, once people hear what we have to say about wanting to balance the budget and take on some fraud and corruption and transparency, they like our message, and I think they're going to end up going our way.
Well, people are just trying to pay attention right now. Why don't we talk about some of the basics here? For you, Tom Cross, what is the mission? What is the job of the treasurer of the state?
Well, you have your basic responsibilities of investing the money, making sure Bright Start, the college savings program, is running efficiently and making money. I look at things a little differently. Outside the box, I want to make sure that the state follows the Constitution and balances its budget. And I believe as treasurer, you have a duty to make sure that happens. And if it doesn't, we're gonna enforce it, and that might even mean taking folks like Mike Madigan to court. But we're gonna do that. We've got to learn to live within our means.
How do we've talked about living within our means before, and I know you have hammered that time and time and time again. And for a lot of people who sit at the kitchen table trying to put their own budgets together, that's something that resonates with us. What's another thing that separates you from what your opponent might like to do?
Well, there's clearly the issue of taxes. He was for the temporary tax. He's for a service tax. He's for a progressive tax, a graduated tax. We're not. The other thing that we've said in this election is that we need to make sure that we address fraud and corruption. The Treasurer's Office knows the money, and we were charged by the SEC a couple years ago with securities fraud. We don't want to let that go on. We want to go after fraud and corruption in the pension world. And then we also believe there needs to be more transparency. And our opponent disagrees with us on all of these things, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. But we don't turn the state around, live within our means, take on fraud and corruption, and be more transparent about the financial condition of the state, then I think it's going to be very hard to turn some of these things around.
Tom Cross with us. He is running for treasurer. You can find out more at his website, jointomcross.com. It's Ronnie and Scott on WROK. When I asked you about the duties of the treasurer, first thing you said was, the smart investing of state dollars, of Illinois tax dollars and Bright Start dollars. And I was talking to someone the other day who was kind of a cursory interest in the race up until now, and she mentioned your opponent. And said, what about this guy? And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, here's what you need to know. He has said on the record that if a company moves jobs out of Illinois for any reason, he would divest Illinois investment of anything in that company, even if it costs the state and in turn us taxpayers money. Even if it costs us money, he would do that. And I think that's basically a disqualifying statement for this office.
It clearly is for a variety of reasons. One, you're not here to have a social agenda and using the treasurer's office to do that. If you want to improve, if you want to keep people in Illinois, you have a better tax policy, you improve the business climate, you take on the tort system, the workers' compensation system. He hasn't done any of that. The other thing is that disqualifies him is he doesn't even understand the role of the treasurer. You are prohibited from actually investing in Illinois companies. You can't go buy Caterpillar stock. We have short-term investments, things like treasury notes, commercial paper, agency bonds. He's not even indicated an understanding of what you can and can't do in this office. But you're right. Overall, that approach is unfortunate.
Now, when you talked about the Treasurer's Office being a watchdog and if need be, take people to court over following the Constitution, we haven't, there might have been some lip service paid to it out of the Treasurer's Office before, but we've never seen an active Treasurer's Office as far as that goes.
Look, we're a state that's in big trouble. If we were a state with $5 or $10 billion in a rainy day fund, our unemployment was down, our pension systems were in good shape, you might say, Treasurer, just go invest money and be quiet. We don't want to hear from you. But it's so bad that I think if we're going to turn it around, you need to use these offices in innovative ways and aggressive ways. And that's why I'm taking the position I am, that you can't keep spending money you don't have. And I know that sounds simple, but this General Assembly, even this year, passed a budget that was $300 to $400 million more than we had available to spend. That was even a stretch. For pay raises for lawmakers, money for privately owned theaters. I didn't vote for it. My opponent did. But you can't keep doing that.
Tom Cross with us, candidate for Illinois Treasurer. You can find out more, join TomCross.com. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. If Bruce Rauner wins the governor's mansion, which we hope is the case next Tuesday, and you are the treasurer, how do you see that relationship between the governor's office and the treasurer's office? Is it a partnership? You guys work together? Is it more of a checks and balances type relationship? How do you see the governor's office and the treasurer's office working moving forward?
Well, look, my approach to making sure the budget is balanced will apply whether you're a Republican or Democrat governor. I don't see that being an issue with Bruce Rauner. I think I know he understands we need to balance the budget, and he will do that. I actually think we can be a partner. I think we can partner on making sure the budget is balanced, working together to attract jobs, improving the business climate, the tax policies, and I think we can complement each other. We're going to need as many people as we can working together. Remember, the Democrats are still going to control the House and the Senate, and so we're going to need to work together to help turn the state around, and I think we can have a good partnership.
So, obviously, Bruce Rauner winning the governor's mansion would make your job a little bit easier, probably would make clashes a little bit more infrequent, but you're prepared to throw down regardless of who takes that office.
Well, look, and again, Bruce isn't going to pass an unbalanced budget. The General Assembly might, and imagine if the General Assembly passes an unbalanced budget, he knows he'd have to take action in vetoing it, and knowing that he's got a treasurer that would support him on that, and even taking the Mike Madigans of the world to court, there's an example of where we could work together. So I think we could have a strong partnership and move this in terms of moving this state forward, and we will have a strong partnership.
Tom Cross with us for a couple more minutes. Ronnie and Scott here on WROK. You've won the endorsements of virtually every major paper that I know of in this state, and so you've had a lot of sit-downs with these editorial boards from all the way up here in Rockford and all the way down south to Edwardsville and points in between. What question do you get asked most often by these editorial boards about your job in the treasurer's office?
Well, they want to know how we're going to do the office, how we're going to improve it. Are we for consolidating the treasurer and the comptroller? What do we see as the role of the treasurer? So, what I feel good about in those endorsements is they liked our innovative approaches. They were supportive of where we were on taxes versus where our opponent is. They also pointed out us having a better understanding of the office versus our opponent having some issues as the Champaign County auditor, costing them $3 million on some decisions he made. And those things have come into play. And so I'm glad they recognize the differences between the two of us.
And Tom, you mentioned that the combination of the treasurer and the comptroller's office, which has been proposed and has been actually supported by both the current treasurer and the current comptroller as well. You're for it, your opponent was against it and now says he's for it. Either way, it's one of those things that's stuck because Mike Madigan won't allow it through. He won't allow a vote on the topic. So it's going to take a little bit of a grease on those wheels in the House to get this moving forward either way.
But that's why you can't be flip-flopping on it like our opponent did.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a champion for it. You have to convince the speaker of why it makes sense, the pros, and you can go over the cons. But at the end of the day, it makes sense. It saves $12 million. It says to taxpayers we're trying to do a better job. It says to other units of local government you can consolidate and the world doesn't come to an end. But you need to be very strong and be a champion for it, and you can't go back and forth on whether you think it's good or not.
Tom Cross running for treasurer. Join TomCross.com, and we'll plan to chat again on Election Day. Okay, Tom?
Thanks for having me, and have a great day.